Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's so much to cover today. Johnny Million's on the show with us. Chat room's flying. We're at infotainmentwars.com. We're hooked up on Chicago. Everything seems to be working. I hope so. Fingers crossed. We'll be okay.
I know.
You know, I have to admit something to you, Johnny Million. I used to have respect for Russia as a criminal endeavor. I was kind of impressed. I mean, not so much on the quality of their work, because spritzing poison in someone's face in a park or poisoning their food is very Blofeld. It's very mid seven. Yeah, it's very mid 70s James Bondish kind of stuff.
Bond villain. Yeah.
But it had a sort of a sense of murderous class about it, right? It had kind of like a the intrigue, the kind of stuff of a Columbo episode, something you could respect. And
they have to commit to a vibe to do something like that.
That's right.
This is where we're headed.
They managed during the Trump years to plant listening devices all over the White House, allegedly, while they were just visiting, while Trump was having a big chuck-a-luck with them. Sitting there, the old head thrown back laughter photos with him and Sergei Lavrov, adorable. And then of course we know that Vladimir Putin, who may or may not be in declining mental health, who in the history of great Russian leaders, since there have been reports about him having some sort of illness, he may have been dead for the last 6 months, for all we know, because that's how things used to work in the old Soviet Union. That was a lovely part of it, right? But he, as much as he's having, issues currently, he had at least, his thumb on Trump in a way that, he could make him kind of give him that palm up handshake that he gave him every time. Like Trump would shake hands like his hand was a dog rolling over to get its belly scratched. It's super weird. Just so you're wondering, if you're a world leader within the sound of my voice, when you shake hands with someone, evenly reach out with your hand with the you want the bottom of your hand to be parallel with the ground, not the back of your hand or the palm of your hand necessarily. It's old school primate domination rules, and you want to go into it evenly. Otherwise, it's not a handshake. It's a recognition that someone has a pee-pee tape. So over the course of I would say that the rise of Putinism, they've really they really found their groove, and not just on the vagrant kind of baseline quality standards, but also in their bang for the buck. If for spending so little and getting so much, no one can beat the Russians. Yeah, over the last little bit, because I tweeted last week, and it was definitely in reference to some stuff I'd been reading about their strategy over the last couple of years. But I was saying that if I were a GRU agent and I'd been, I was on quota, I'd been tasked with a job, one of the things, what I would obviously do is take two of the biggest political forces in a country, the two biggest political parties in a country, create a lot of fake accounts supporting the most radical on either side. So it artificially inflating the fringes of either side. And then, for lack of a better radio-friendly word, I would crap post on their behalf back and forth, basically creating an artificial digital civil war all the time. And then I would pop some popcorn and sit back and watch the show, because it's that easy. It really is. And that's exactly the strategy. They were while the Russians were absolutely building pro-Trump sites and arranging for events in Florida where they were going to hire a Hillary Clinton impersonator even. They were literally getting to the groundwork part of it, but creating Facebook posts and Facebook events and Facebook pages that supported Donald Trump. They were also creating fake BLM posts, fake Antifa posts, and they were, jacking those things up. And in an equal measure, right? That's the thing. That's the one thing that was kind of missed, on people, is that what you do is the Russians weren't interested in electing Donald Trump. because they liked Donald Trump, because they supported Donald Trump, because they thought he was actually, good for their interests in the country. They had given up. It was like, it's like if a guy was going to steal your car, but just didn't have he didn't know how to pull the wires and clip them and reattach them, and so he just decided, you know what? If I can't have your car, I just don't want you driving your car, and just knife the tires. That's what it was. You know what I mean? That's the fallback position. This is the chaos as a political strategy, right? Just make democracy look like crap, fall back into that position, and go for it. Okay,
right.
So that was then. This is now. Now they're having to, out in the open, arrest Alexei Navalny as he's coming off a plane, put him in jail like some old Middle Eastern dictatorship from the mid '80s. Nowhere near the bow-tied class of what they we're to assume. By the way, all this is said in jest, so get ready. So, but now they've just decided to drop all the pretense and go for smash and grab. Now it is literally, there's no well thought out bank robbery scheme. There's no strategery at all, in the immortal words of George W. Bush. There is simply wreckage. So after the pipeline ransomware attack we dealt with, where the right-wing talking points came from it, that somehow ransomware attacks didn't happen during Trump, which they did. A lot of them, actually. And the Biden administration put together a ransomware task force after they got into office that recovered money from this group that attacked the pipeline. Again, it slowed gas production on the East Coast for a time, driving prices up. And the right wing was more than happy to say this is just the 70s all over again. This is OPEC. This is the end of, this is $5 a liter gasoline or whatever. And and it's not. Now it's just summer prices, and we're kind of back to abnormal. We have reports this morning of a ransomware attack on a software managing company that hits 200 companies. A successful ransomware attack on a single company has spread to at least 200 organizations, according to cybersecurity firm Huntress Labs, making it one of the single largest criminal ransomware sprees in history. It's a smash and grab. They don't necessarily think they're going to get all this stuff. They're just freezing up anything associated with this one particular thing, and then they're going to extort each individual company based on this particular single company's software that they were all using. The attack, first revealed Friday afternoon, is believed to be affiliated with the prolific ransomware gang Revel, as in evil, revolutionary evil, and perpetrated through Kaseya, an international company that remotely controls programs for companies that in turn manage internet services for businesses. So this is a company, a multinational corporation that controls software that controls software. Folks, this level of redundancy versus cost in your cybersecurity and email and whatever the main control software that you're using for your business is not worth it. It ain't. Whatever you're saving, you're going to lose later. There's eventually going to be a ransomware knock at your door. And either back up your stuff, be able to turn the whole thing off and turn it back on, or use a company that's close to home that has quality controls that you can respect, instead of bouncing it like a VPN through 3 different companies. Welcome to my TED Talk. Kaseya announced Friday afternoon it was attacked by hackers and warned all its customers to immediately stop using its service. Nearly 40 of its customers were hacked, Kaseya said late Friday night. Since those Kaseya customers manage hundreds of thousands of businesses, it is unclear how many will fall victim to ransomware over the weekend. By the way, these are not just U.S. businesses. It's worldwide. So before we start taking it personally, rest assured, this is the spread of Kaseya's cyber weaknesses goes through multiple countries, and where they're getting the money back will be stories over the next couple of weeks. But the number is at least around 200, said John Hammond, a senior security researcher at Huntress, which is helping with Kaseya's response. That number is expected to rise. The timing, just ahead of the 4th of July weekend, is unlikely a coincidence. They're doing this, by the way, so that more people will be on vacation. So if you have anybody there and they're like, wow, something's weird, all the techs and your IT people will more than likely be on vacation. So they've got a day ahead of you before you can start pulling stuff down, shutting things off, and that kind of stuff. This is going to become a relative norm, and this is one of the areas where the Congress cannot drag its feet. And the Biden administration has come in and said, we got some red lines. So far, this does not cross any of those red lines that in the list that Biden handed to Putin. And we don't know what the direct linkage will be or is to the Russian government right now in terms of, Fuzzy Bear and Cozy Bear and Fozzie Bear and, Leather Bear. And I don't know what group they put in charge of all this, but over time, this is beyond the fact that this is an annoyance. There will be elements of ransomware stuff that is directly dangerous to human life. That will, some of it will be edging on an act of war if it leads back to other governments, not just the Russian government, but their alliances with Iran and North Korea and that kind of stuff. As they start to dwindle, they're going to start to, like a drowning man, grab at people as they go down to try and get whatever lift they can. As we deal with this, there will be elements of this that are crucially, damaging to our infrastructure if we're not careful, and we do have to protect against this. But the other aspect of this is that it's a sign of the dwindling influence of Russia over time, that this is low-end money grabs, much of which is not on the league of money that they would need to keep themselves afloat in those other, and considering the amount of money they're allegedly having, this is really nuisance money that they're trying to attack these companies to undermine their bottom line, not to really gain the money themselves. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this because there's a section of highway shut down in Massachusetts right now, which should make right-wingers feel slightly better. I'll explain in a second.